What is up, YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. So, today I want to talk about how to make your band a professional band or how to be more of a professional musician. And I don't mean professional like in the sense of like it's the only thing you do and that's how you make all your money. I mean in like how you conduct yourself and present yourself and carry yourself and how you set your band apart from all the other bands around you. And that doesn't necessarily just apply to like one type of band or like scene or genre. Like this can go across the board. Like doesn't matter if you're in like a DIY all original band or if you're in a cover band or whatever. Like this can apply all across the board. So these are some things that I've kind of noticed from being on both sides of it, being someone that's in bands and being someone that is a sound guy and like works at a venue and sees bands come through, the kind of things that like kind of irritate me to have to deal with, and the kinds of things that I want to make sure I don't put on to the venue or the club or the sound guy that I'm going into as a person in a band, right? So the first thing, and you would think this would be like a really obvious thing, but here we are making a video about it, so it is what it is. But the first thing is having all the stuff you need. Again, this might sound really rudimentary and like basic, but you'd be surprised at how many people I see show up and they don't have something they need. Like they need a vocal microphone and they don't have it. They need a direct box and they don't have it. They need a guitar cab mic and they don't have it. And it's, you know, and again, not just guitar players. Like you don't have any. You're a drummer and you don't have any drum mics, right? Like having the stuff you need. If you're a solo acoustic guitar player, you need a microphone stand and a vocal mic and a DI box for your acoustic guitar. Like, have those things, If you're a drummer, have your own drum mics. Like, have your own guitar cab mic. Have your own mic stands, like your own cables. Don't expect that a place you're going to show up is just going to have these things, right? Like, some places don't. They might provide a PA system and stuff like that, but you can't assume anything. So, have all the stuff you need to accomplish your show. The cover band that I'm in, we have everything. When the sound guy shows up, we literally just hand the sound guy a snake tail. And it's like, plug this into whatever you need to plug it into and go out to front of house and do whatever you need to do. And like, we're good. Like, you don't even have to monitor check us because we have our own monitor system that we're hooked into. Like, you just go out there and do your thing. It makes his job as easy as it could possibly be. And I'm not saying you have to go like that far with it, but like have the basic things, the necessities that you're going to need, cables, stands, that kind of stuff. Another thing is going to be being on time. Again, you would think, but musicians, right? If a club tells you load in is a certain time, be there at that time. If they tell you set time is between this hour and this hour, play that long. Like, the amount of times I see people, show up and it's like, I know they've been told, hey, play from here to here, and they don't. And it's like, or you say, load in is at 7 o'clock and no one shows up till 8:30, and it's like, be punctual. That goes a long way. That goes a really long way. Be punctual. Be on time. Another thing that you can do is to be a good hang. And this is one of the things that, like, I've seen other people talk about this. Just be chill. Some people show up and, like, they're in a bad mood and they're stomping around and complaining about things, and it's like, you're not a rock star, okay? Like, you're playing at this club that seats like 100 people or something or whatever it is, right? Don't come in with that type of attitude. Like, it's not your club, it's not your room, you don't know, anything about it, right? Like, just get along with everybody, be cool, let the staff do what they do, let the sound guy do what he does, like, let work with, if there's other bands on the bill with you, like work with those bands, just be a good hang, like be chill, learn to read the room, learn to like know when like, hey, I probably need to just leave this person alone, or I need to, whatever. Like, again, these are not all gear related things. A lot of this is just like how you conduct yourself and present yourself, right? Because I think these are some really important things that people just miss. Like, if you sound great, but you show up and, you know, nobody likes you because of how you're acting the whole time you're there, well, guess what? Like, it doesn't matter how good you're going to sound, right? Like, they're probably not going to want to work with you again. Another thing, though, getting back to some gear stuff, is make sure you have reliable stuff. It doesn't have to be the most expensive stuff in the world, but it needs to be reliable. If you have a, piece of drum hardware that falls apart all the time, right? Don't keep bringing it to shows. Replace it. Get it fixed or stop using it, right? If you have a guitar that dies all the time or something, or, whatever, a bass that cuts out all the time, stop using it. Don't bring it. Get it fixed or get a replacement for it. Do something different. Like, no one wants to watch you struggle with this issue you're having, in the middle of your set. Like, don't keep bringing something that you know is faulty to a show. Take care of your stuff. If you play a lot, you're putting a lot of miles on your gear, right? You might need to change some tubes, change some strings, like change some pots in the guitar or something. Like, know your gear, take care of it, do upkeep on it, right? Kind of in that same vein, for guitar players and bass players specifically, like, bass players, it's not as big of a thing because you don't break strings nearly as much as a guitar player does. But never just bring one guitar to a show. I never go to a show with one guitar. We had a show a few months back. I get to the show, I open up my guitar case, I pull my guitar out, I plug it up, nothing. No signal, nothing. I'm like, that's weird. Set it down, pick up my other guitar, plug it in, works great. So I'm like, something's wrong with my guitar. Played the show, it's great. Get home, pull that Les Paul apart. The pickup selector had come unsoldered. Who knows? Bouncing around in the trailer, whatever. It's old. Came unsoldered. Soldered it back up, got it back working, fine. But something I couldn't do in the venue right there, and thank God I had another guitar. That's kind of an extreme scenario. More so, it's going to just be you break a string, and nobody wants to watch you sit on stage and change a string on your guitar in the middle of a set. Bring a backup guitar. Again, it doesn't have to be the most expensive thing in the world. You don't have to have the, whatever, but just bring a backup guitar to your gigs. Don't just go out there with one guitar and hope for the best. That's probably not going to be great. Another thing too with like gear specifically, like your whole band's gear, right? Make sure your gear is appropriate. Okay? Now, if you're a DIY band and you're kind of doing your own thing and you're playing DIY shows, okay, you can kind of use whatever you want within like physical limitations, right? You probably don't need to show up to a DIY show with like a wall of cabinets, that's probably a little unrealistic. But if you want to use a 100-watt half stack, that's fine. If you want to use a modeler, that's fine. But if you know you're going to be playing somewhere that has a very basic kind of PA system, you may not want to rely on just a pedal board with a modeler on it. You might want to have a 412 cabinet or a 212 cabinet or something. Like, you may want to be able to push a little volume yourself if you know that your PA system is going to be kind of limited. Don't just show up to a basement DIY show with a Quad Cortex and be like, oh, I have no way to make any sound with this, right? The other side of that is going to be if you're, maybe like me, where you're playing in a cover band and you're playing at bars and stuff, and there's a bunch of people in there and they're trying to drink and talk to each other and have a good time. They don't really want you to blow their heads off with your 100-watt Marshall stack. They don't. So maybe you need a smaller combo amp or something that's a little more, manageable, or just a direct solution like a Helix or a Quad Cortex or something like that, right? try to have, and I understand that gear is expensive and you can't just have everything, but you should try to have some options, some things that you can kind of, that's why, like, I have one of those Headrush powered FR speakers. So if I'm playing somewhere and I'm like, PA system is, we can put vocals in it, we can, whatever, maybe like a kick drum, but I don't really want to just rely on it for my guitars and bass completely. We're able to generate some stage volume. But if we're playing somewhere that has a real nice PA system and, all, the whole 9 yards and stuff like that, there's no reason to haul that stuff in and set it up and blast it on the stage. Like, I'll just go direct. I got my in-ears, like, it's fine. You want to try to have a little diversity in and flexibility in the situations and scenarios that you're capable of handling, right? Let's see. Another thing is, I probably should have wrote some of these down and I didn't. I was kind of just like going off the dome with them earlier and I was like, oh, I'll remember them. And here I am, But I think another thing is going to be making sure that you are rehearsed well. This is something that I see a lot too. It's just people not being rehearsed well, right? It's easy to sit down and just play your songs in a loud room with loud amps and be like, yeah, we sound good. And then when you get, in the studio or you get in a live scenario and you're like, and you have monitors and you have wedges or you have these or something like that and you hear someone else in your band and you're like, hey man, you're not playing the right chord there. You're not playing the right, that lick is out of key or something, right? Make sure you're rehearsed well. Ask each other about your parts. Ask each other what you're doing. Like, hey, that looks, maybe I can't hear you that great because we're in a loud room with amps and stuff, but that doesn't look like the right thing you're playing. Like, I'm playing here, you're playing here. Like, why are you making that chord? Like, if you see something like that, like, don't be afraid to talk to your band members. Like, figure out, what part you're playing, like, make sure they go together. Be rehearsed and do a lot of that practicing together, but do a lot of it on your own too. And that's a big thing too, is band rehearsals are for the band. They're not for like you learning a song. Like, go learn the song and then come to band rehearsal and then discuss the song with the rest of your band and make sure everybody's on the same page. Make sure you're playing it in the right key. Make sure you're playing it, the same way, all this kind of stuff, right? Another thing is going to be having some utilitarian tools, okay? And this is going to be more for like the cover band stuff, but like, don't be afraid of a capo. I know guitar players that will not touch a capo with a 10-foot pole, and it's like, well, you can have a hard time playing this song then because I'm going to capo it and play in G. Like, you can struggle with goofy chord shapes all day long. I'm not going to. Because sometimes singers will just decide that they, I don't like the song in this key, it's too low for me to sing, or it's too high for me to sing, or whatever. And you need to be able to kind of accommodate that on the fly without having to totally relearn the song, right? Get comfortable with a capo. Another thing that I really like is like the Digitech drop pedal. It's like a digital capo in the other direction, right? Because a lot of times what singers will have an issue with is it's too high, and they might want to just drop the song like a half step. Well, if I've learned the song in E, say the song's in E, and you're like, oh, a half step. Now I'm kind of in a goofy space, right? Where an E flat is like a thing I got to go all the way up here and get, and I can't get like that low open chord like I've been practicing the whole time with the song because it's in E. Get you something like a Digitech drop pedal and just digitally detune a half step. They work great. I know lots of people that use them. I use one all the time. They work great. And then you can just play the song in E instead of having to bar chord the whole thing, right? Same thing with a capo in the opposite direction. If they want to move the song up a key or they just want to change a key completely for whatever reason, maybe the song's in G, but they just really like the key of D better for some reason, right? Like, you can just capo it somewhere and play the chords you learned and practice playing. So definitely recommend those kinds of things. Let's see. Another thing is going to be, especially as like a guitar player or a bass player, drummers too maybe, it wouldn't be that bad to learn how to sing just a little bit. Again, you don't have to be Freddie Mercury, right? But if you can sing a little bit, you can kind of reinforce some parts, learn a little harmony, that goes a long way. One of the things I feel like that sets my cover band apart is we have 4 people in the band that can sing. And we're able to cover a lot of ground. We can do some harmonies. Like, we can make things sound really good vocally. Because that's what people are really paying attention to. Like, 99% of the time, unless you go for a guitar solo, people, oh, hey, guitar solo. Any other time than that, they're listening to the lyrics. They're listening to the vocals. So, if you have I get it, not everybody has the ability to sing, but if you think you do, don't be afraid to flex those chops a little bit. Don't be afraid to practice and try to, again, you don't have to be the best singer in the world, but if you can reinforce some choruses or some harmonies here and there, that'll go a long way and set you apart from a lot of local bands who just have one person in the band that can sing and nobody else even wants to attempt it and they don't even want to go for it or try it. And it's, definitely something that'll make you stand out a little bit. And then, last but not least, and I think this is a really important thing, and it's, for whatever reason, such like a controversial topic, and I see people memeing about it all the time. Learn just a little bit of basic music theory. Again, you don't have to be a college level professor in music theory, but learn how to read some chord charts. Learn how to talk the lingo. Learn what the terms mean. If somebody says, hey, this modulates to the relative major, you need to know what they're talking about. If someone says, hey, this goes to a 5 chord, you need to know what they're talking about, right? Because sometimes people are going to come up to you, especially if you're in a cover band, they're going to come up to you and they're going to say, hey, man, can you play this song? And most of the time, it's going to be something that you've heard 1,000 times, right? Hey, man, can you play some Lynyrd Skynyrd? Or, can you play some Foo Fighters? Or can you play some AC/DC or something like that, right? And maybe you've never practiced a song in your life, but you've heard it 1,000 times. And if you can look up a chord chart and you can read a chord chart, you can do the song. And my band has been in that situation a bunch of times where someone would come up and request a song, and I was like, yeah, we don't know it, but like I know it, Look the chord chart up. Okay, that got it. Okay. So learn a little bit of basic music theory. It will go a long way into communicating with each other, trying to convey ideas and, explain the roadmap of a song if you're trying to tell somebody how a bass line walks or a chord movement modulates or something like that. If you don't know what you're talking about, if they don't know what you're talking about, then it's a much more difficult to kind of explain that stuff. If everyone knows the lingo and everyone knows the terminology, then you can get there a lot quicker and a lot more efficiently, right? So, those are some of the things that I think you should do to just kind of take your band from a kind of, base, like, local level and just to kind of elevate yourself a little bit, just kind of bump you up, put you a little, a notch above kind of your peers and stuff like that, right? And again, music's not a competition. You're not trying to outdo people or anything like that. But you definitely just want to give people a reason to call you back, especially if you're in a cover band, especially if you're trying to play gigs and make money, right? You want people to call you back because there are some bands they don't call back. Trust me, I've seen it. I've been in the bar working, running sound, and the person that books come up to me and be like, I'm not booking those people again. You don't want to be that. You don't want to have yourself in that situation, right? So give yourself all the best tools you can to succeed and all the knowledge to make sure you get booked again. So hope you guys like the video. Leave me a comment if you think there's anything I left out, if there's something that you do or don't do, or you think is a good tip to kind of elevate yourself and make your band seem a little more professional and just a little more put together than some of the other bands around you. Let me know what that is, and I will be back soon.